Hello, everybody. My name's Diana Bourdine. I made a post a little bit earlier on in the group just introducing myself. So this is the video that I promised you guys. So let me just introduce myself so you know my background. I'm a physiotherapist from Australia, all the way down under in Adelaide. So if any of you guys are in Australia, hello. If you plan to be in Australia soon, hello and welcome. And especially if you're in Adelaide, I'd love to connect with you. So let me get to a bit of my background. So I've been a physiotherapist and I've been in the health and wellness industry for over 8 years now. I know I look quite young, but that's a good thing that I have on my side. So basically, in my experience, I've been specializing as a physiotherapist in the last 4 years, in particular in chronic pain, and chronic pain including fibromyalgia, but not just fibromyalgia, not just limited to that. So even things like chronic fatigue is a very, very big one. And I can tell you, my own mum suffers and has actually almost cured herself from chronic fatigue, if I can say that. She's undergone a very tough battle for the last 8 years where she hasn't been able to work. So I have a very, very personal experience with the effects of chronic fatigue in someone that you love. So it's quite close to my heart. And the other thing is I have seen seen patients every day suffering from chronic things, even irritable bowel syndrome, chronic pain, in particular lower back and different joints of the body, nerve pain. That's a really big one as well. So if you're someone who's got nerve pain, often fibromyalgia does come with nerve pain, and you may have been prescribed some very heavy medications from your doctor like Lyrica or gabapentin or whatever you have been prescribed. And yes, those drugs help, but they do tend to make your brain go a bit fuzzy and spin you out. So there's always the positives and the negatives of those. So just a little bit here about my background. I guess I could go on and on about everything that I do. So I'll just kind of stop there. And what I did want to share with you guys today is an encouraging story to give you hope, to give you a reason to keep going towards the light at the end of the tunnel, because I know that there is a light 100%. So let me start by saying this. The first and the most important thing for you to know, especially if you've just started this and just been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, the first thing for you to know is that it is a multi-dimensional chronic condition. So it doesn't come from just the one source. It actually comes from a range of biopsychosocial factors, we call them. So these factors are things like your lifestyle, your genetic makeup and genetic predisposition, your thinking patterns, emotional uproots, so things from dating from back when you were a child or even before you were born. So things passed on through generations that you can change, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. Genetic and mental strongholds, things that, for example, you've developed throughout your whole life, certain thinking patterns which are not helpful that you've actually developed throughout your life. And I'm going to touch on that as well in the next few videos. Obviously, I can't cover everything today, but I'll cover as much as I can, and I'll keep touching on things and answering your questions and everything. So the first thing to do is be kind to yourself. That's the very first step in making yourself better. It's loving yourself, having an attitude of kindness, of grace, of being thankful towards yourself, towards your body. I know it's hard, especially when you've got so many symptoms going on. It's very challenging on your bad days as well, when you're going through all this pain and no one seems to understand you, especially your loved ones. I've had many patients come in and they just it's not just their symptoms, but the way the family reacts. So it's very, very, and that's another topic in itself, right? So there's a lot of things I could cover. So it's very, very supportive and very encouraging when your family understands and can support you. Of course, they can never understand exactly what you're going through, but at least they have an idea. So today I'd like to share one of my patients' victory stories, I like to call it, because and I'm going to call this lady, I'm not going to call her by her real name because I want to protect her privacy. So I'm going to call her Lucy. Okay, so just going to give her a name, just going to call her Lucy. So Lucy came to me. Now Lucy is in her late 50s, and my heart absolutely broke for her when she first came to me. Let me tell you about Lucy's background. Lucy was heavily, heavily abused as a young woman, as a teenager, and as a child. So she's already had this very, very traumatic background. She has been in some very abusive relationships. She was sexually assaulted numerous times, had very, very rough upbringing with her family. Very and the reason I say this is because these things were already set up in her own mind from the young age of a child. So unspoken ideas of not being loved and not being cared for, even though her mum never said it, that's what she was getting from everything, that all the mum's actions and non-spoken words. Sometimes people can be very mean, like parents can say things they don't mean. And so with her background, what I'm trying to say here is basically that from a very young age, our brain develops extremely rapidly. And we don't realize the impact that our parents and those around us have on us from a very, very young age, right from birth all the way to, so the first 2 years of life is when I don't know the exact figure, but something like 60 to 80% of your brain actually develops of your patterns, thinking patterns. And your first 5 years, again, very crucial. So if looking back at your past, what kind of family dynamic and what kind of family culture were you brought up into? That can make a huge part and take a huge change in your lifestyle, in your mental, in your thinking patterns, and your emotional upbringing. So I know personally with my emotional upbringing, my parents are fantastic and I love them to bits, but they did not know how to express love to me as a child. So there was often times where I felt my love tank, as I call it, was empty. And I only realized this a few years ago when I sort of was like, oh, well, that's what love feels like. Okay, well, that's great. So a lot of these things come as from an early age, emotional foundations, mental patterns, things unspoken and unseen things that are set down, ways of functioning from when you're a child, and deep-seated beliefs which you may not be conscious of. So things that you subconsciously believe about yourself and about others can shape your whole life. And so going back to Lucy, my patient, she had gone through her whole life with these very, very unhelpful thinking patterns, emotional and deep-seated beliefs about herself. And she didn't actually know how to love herself. She didn't believe she was loved. So she attracted all the wrong relationships. She also made some wrong decisions and didn't have the coping techniques and strategies. So this is very similar in someone like my mum. She's functioned all her life from a place of striving and perfectionism and being hard on herself, and not actually from a place of true love and peace. And so what I'm trying to say here is this whole background, it's the foundation of who you are and how your body functions. So your body will actually be in a constant stressed state. And stressed by definition is when basically your body's stress response is your sympathetic or your fight or flight response. You may have heard of it. And I'll touch on this in another section. But basically, it's when when your body thinks there's a threat. Okay, so your body realizes there's a threat, and it does all it can to protect you. So that your actions are coming from a place of fear. Okay, so something that this whole underlying thing. So imagine 40 years in a in a in the fight or flight mode. What that's going to do to your nervous system, what that's going to do to your muscles, to your brain, to the whole way your body functions. Okay, it's going to take its impact. And I've seen a lot of patients actually have a massive meltdown at the age of in midlife sort of 40s, massive meltdown at the age of 40, just due to stress. Chronically, they just break down. Okay, so I'm going to touch on this later as well, because I think it's very, very important to know how your body reacts and responds to things. So back to Lucy. So she came in, so she had this very traumatic background. She was on very heavy medications. She was hardly walking straight. She couldn't even keep her balance. She would sway from side to side. Her speech was very slurred. She was looking through me. So when she was looking at me and talking to me, she was actually not even there, if I can say. She wasn't really in the room. It was kind of, she was in this dazed out condition. She was, very foggy brain. She wasn't happy at all. I couldn't really see a smile on her face. So I worked with Lucy intensively for a number of weeks. And the program that we put in place was a multi-dimensional program. So we attacked this. It's kind of like a combination bike lock or a bike lock, if you know those locks with the little numbers. You guys know those locks? So you have to enter the PIN to unlock it, right? So that's exactly the same with your health. It's not just one solution. It's a myriad of solutions. So we actually had to sit down and find what was right for Lucy. Okay, so for Lucy, in her case, we found that affirmations was a massive, massive thing. So what she was saying to herself and her deep-seated, subconsciously, she didn't realize, but subconsciously she was making certain affirmations that were stopping her from moving forward. So that was one thing. The second thing we did was mindfulness meditation. I absolutely love mindfulness meditation. It's changed my life, changed so many patients' lives. I'll cover this later down the track. So mindfulness meditation calms the nervous system. It helps with so many things. There's been studies that say that it helps to decrease chronic pain. It decreases sometimes even nerve pain. It can decrease a lot of things. It depends with nerve pain. That's a bit of sometimes you may need medication if it is nerve pain and it is bad. But mindfulness does help with, even with foggy brain, many, many things. So two things. So we did the affirmations, we did the mindfulness. We then did an exercise diary. Now, when I say exercise, don't freak out. I had someone on the comment on my post before, I think it was Diane. He said, please don't make us do heavy exercise. Not at all. Do not be scared. So we started with very gentle, mindful movement. Okay, so she didn't even recognize her own body. When she was moving, she didn't even feel the movements. She was just automatically doing it. So we actually brought mindfulness into her movement and made her love her body again. So by the way she started moving, and then she started treating her body and feeling the strength, she got so much stronger. So those three components. We also addressed her diet, which it's a massive thing as well, in huge thing. And the last thing is we addressed what she was listening to every day. So Lucy is a Christian, and so obviously everybody has their own beliefs, and I understand that. But in her particular case, we worked with Christianity and with biblical concepts. We worked with biblical affirmations and ministries that she could listen to that would empower her in her everyday life and give her that hope and that faith. 5 things that we incorporated in Lucy's life. Of course, we did physiotherapy, hands-on treatment, so that's it. That's crucial, absolutely crucial. First step is to release the nerves, because releasing the nerves, guess what? Releases the nerve pain. Okay, so you'll actually be able to decrease that nerve pain, so you can do your mindfulness. Okay, so that you can do your affirmations, because there's nothing worse than sitting there with your nerve pain and you're trying to think positive, think positive, think positive. It's not going to work. Okay, I know it's hard. So we need to decrease that. So we worked on those aspects. Now, let me tell you the exciting thing. And I'm so happy. I saw a huge change in Lucy. It was humongous. The girls at reception were like, this is a new person. She came in and you could just see it in her face. She was smiling and that glow in her eyes. She had this brilliant, when I said she came in the first time, she was very hazy, very looking through me. Now she came with a spark in her eyes, guys. It was absolutely heartwarming and it made my day. In fact, it made my whole week. And that's what I live for, seeing that smile, seeing that spark in her eyes and that vitality in her life. Let me tell you about the improvements we were able to make within a matter of weeks. And when I say weeks, it was probably about 7 to 8 weeks, okay, that we'd been progressively working. And I could see that she was improving. But you see, Lucy's one of those people that was in a low socioeconomic bracket. So she couldn't afford to come in 3 or 4 times a week. So I wouldn't see her 3 or 4 times a week. So every time I saw her, basically we caught up on everything, right? And yes, it is more helpful if you do come in more regularly and have this support regularly. But we were able to give her tasks to do on a weekly basis. So, she came in and I think she'd had about a month's break after a while, and when she came in, she was this whole new different person, right? She was absolutely, everybody noticed it. So her attitude to life had changed. She was positive. She was thinking positively because she was feeding her brain with all the positive things that we set in place. She was rewiring her brain, right? And she was also doing her daily affirmations and praying and things like that we'd set with her specifically. So, and we'd set these around her goals. So one of her goals was to actually play with her grandchild because she wasn't even able to do that. So she was actually, one of her visualization techniques, that was the other thing, hand in hand with affirmations, visualization. She was visualizing playing with her grandchild, exactly what she was wearing, what they were playing, all those things, and she actually got to do it. So emotionally, she was a lot more stable. She was very confident. She was stronger in her body. Okay, so she was actually moving better and she was in less pain. And the best thing is she had this vitality about her. She had her life and her confidence back, and this lovely glow in her face, a warmth and an energy. And she had actually been able to actually do activities that she wasn't able to do before. And the one very, very important thing in her exercise was actually graded exercise support. So very, very gradual. So she was able to increase she started with 5 minutes walk a day. Okay, that was all she could manage. So we slowly worked to increase that. She started with, very, very little exercise at home, Pilates-based stuff and stretches. We were able to increase that. So in every aspect, I'm just thinking about it. I'm just, it was fantastic. So Lucy's story, guys, it's a story of success and achievement, but not just that, it's a story of hope and of light and knowing that there's light at the end of the tunnel. And for what this means for you, if you're watching this right now, be empowered, be encouraged. There is light at the end of the tunnel. There is help out there. There is many solutions that you can set in place. You do need someone though. I believe personally that you shouldn't be struggling with this and journeying through this on your own. And you need someone's help and guidance and support, and which is why you guys are all here in this group. So basically, extra guidance and support. If you do, please, if you do, feel free to reach out. Okay, I'm looking forward to seeing all your comments underneath this video. Please comment. I'm going to be doing another video in later down the track as well. So if you have questions or comments about what I've said today, please write them down below, because I will be answering your questions and doing another video. And perhaps there's something that you'd like explained a little bit in more detail, so I can do another video on that further on. But if you want more in-depth and more personal things, reach out, guys. I'm here to help, and I've just found this group and I'm so excited that I can help you guys. I didn't even know this group was on here. So feel free to send me a message, send me a friend request, private message me, whatever. But we need to give you that support, and that hand holding at the start is very important. Whatever it is, just reach out and make sure that you don't have to do this alone. Okay, there is help out there. And for everybody that's watched so far, thank you for your attention, and hopefully you've gotten something out of this video. If you have, or even if you haven't, thank you for watching. If you have, I'd love to hear your comments and your feedback below. If you have any questions that you want me to answer, anything in particular, please ask and go nuts, all right? And I'll be doing another video very soon. And if you want to chat with me, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help. So I look forward to seeing all your comments. And I'm going to say bye for now. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys. There's life and there's hope. And don't give up, okay? That's the most important thing, all right? So with a lot of love, a lot of gratitude, I'm going to see you guys later.